All right, built on Green Tree. The crew is back together. Rod and Joshua have a little jet lag. Chad and Casey are smiling and happy. It's past Rod and I's bedtime, but for that, it's all worth it. I think I stepped in my door at 1 o'clock on Sunday after being up at 6:30 Pacific time Saturday. Walked through my door 1 o'clock on Sunday, but after that, I'll take it. I'll take it after that. I guess we're gonna have to do what we always do here. I guess we start with that guy, right? Is that where we're gonna start? Chad smiling. We got to start with that guy.
Yeah, well, I think we have to. I mean, what he did in that fourth quarter was Heismanish. I think if he does end up holding up that heavy trophy at the end of the year, there's got to be a clip or two out of this game. He'll probably have more highlight-worthy plays, so to speak, but just how he came back in this game down 25 that late, and pulling a victory out of the jaws of defeat, which he kind of contributed to a little bit.
He did.
But he did clean up his own mess. He pulled out his own bounty. He cleaned up his mess, and all is good. We're undefeated.
Yeah. All is good. KC, does he just keep wowing you?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's been most impressive, especially about these past two games, is his ability to correct himself in the middle of a game. There's been so many times that we've seen our quarterbacks, particularly at Miami, who they start having a bad game and it just snowball effects goes just straight downhill and they can't correct themselves. And he's able to go to the sideline, take whatever criticism or constructive criticism they have for him, or accept the encouragement of, hey, we got to be a little bit smarter, correct himself, and get to work. I mean, he sat there after the game, and I saw his interview. He's like, I was trying to go for the kill shot early. I was trying too hard to get the big play, and once I settled down and started hitting all the small plays, they turned into big ones. And like you said, that last drive, I mean, I was yelling it in my house, like, this is your Heisman moment. Like, march down this field, and it hits X right across the middle of the field, 77 yards to start off, and that's how it is.
Rod, he's he's a special cat. Yes. Oh, what happened?
Well, he's right there.
No, we lost his mic now. How did that happen? We were almost there, Roderick. We can't hear you.
Tag it.
The intern's definitely. Yeah, no, your microphone. Yeah, hook up your microphone.
There's always a Cayman Islands feel with Rod's feed.
Yeah.
He's in Dominica or something.
Here he comes.
Yeah,
There he goes.
what did you guys do? It just cut out. I was
Nothing. We're
talking.
just watching.
I think y'all try to punk me, man. I don't know what y'all
Yeah,
doing.
Josh over there pressing buttons.
I just
Believe me, it's
I
a lot
feel,
easier not to punk you than it is to punk you when it comes down to post production.
I feel like I'm a freshman and y'all taping my locket and just doing stuff to me. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like. I don't know what's going on, why I'm coming and I can't get in my I don't know what y'all doing to me, man. But
No, we're gonna start that part over. All right, Rod. I mean, the kid's special. The kid is super special. I might be putting
absolutely.
it lightly.
Absolutely. Special is an understatement. Just in that crowd, to be in the stadium, in that stadium. I mean, we watched him do it. I wasn't able to go to the Florida game, but watching the games he did at home at Virginia Tech, he had the crowd on his side. To see him be able to be so focused, and at a point that stadium it was rocking, and it wasn't rocking for us, and everything we did, it just seemed like it was coming down on us. And for him to be able um, to persevere in that environment was really, really, really special to watch.
It was rocking. It was also smoking.
Yes.
Get on contact. Get a little
Yes.
contact, Tyrod.
Yep. I was
Chad,
hungry.
you didn't warn us about that. You warned us about the carjackings. You didn't want. That was. I recorded it as my first ever sideline report that had anything to do with hallucinogens in the air.
Yeah.
Well, I figured if they robbed you of some stuff while you're there, you might want to partake just to let it all out.
I had the munchies for some reason. I don't know why I was so hungry.
I'll just go KC, Chad, Rod. What changed, you think, as that game progressed? Like, why did it look easier, so to speak, from execution standpoint when they got down 35-10?
I think they just settled in and were like, listen, let's put aside all the bull crap because we had all those penalties and jaw and all that stuff going on after the play in the first half. They kind of settled down. They talked to each other, said, guys, we just got to believe in what we're doing. Hear the call, know the call, do the call. At the end of the day, we just do our job. We're going to get this thing done. And you just see it as the tide started to turn. It was making the simple plays, making sure that you guys were running the right routes, making sure the offensive line was giving them protection in time. He stopped scrambling out of the pocket and looking down the field and more at his lower routes at the bottom of the field to see if he can just get 5-6 yards, hitting his checkdowns, things like that. And then the defense coming up big by finally just figuring out whatever they had to figure out with that Cal offense and stepping up and slowing them down enough to, get some 3-and-outs, get some punts, get us back into that game and just marching down the field. Run game at the beginning of the game was huge. I wish we didn't get down so much to see more of it, but I think that they definitely was just a belief factor in themselves that we can pull this off.
I'll interject here for a second, put you on the spot, Chad. What do you think of Cal's defense? Let's look at the other way. Like, I know we could talk about what changed on our end, but I do think Cal coming in, you got a defensive-minded head coach, done a lot of good things statistically, and I can just tell you from watching it in person, they were damn good. And they ran what they ran, and they ran it at a high level. Like, very good running their defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they committed the classic sin of a team that's not sure they should win a game. Early on, I saw them packing the line of scrimmage. I saw them blitzing a whole lot more. Then they got up 28, 35, 10, and they started playing a whole lot more zone. And on top of that, they couldn't get a pass rush with their 4-man rush. Yeah, we were handling that well. We were giving Cam time to pass the football. And I think he's at his best when teams are dropping off in the zone and he's just fitting balls into a window. He gets into a rhythm. He doesn't really have to move off of his spot to make throws. And that just seemed to be the route that they took. And they didn't come away from that after a couple of unsuccessful drives. We get it to 35-18. Then I think it went to 38-25 at a certain point. They stuck with that. And I thought that they really just played into the strength of our offense when they did that. And it cost them. And you could also see that Cam was unfazed after the terrible interception, unfazed when they went up by 25 and just went about his business. So one of the great things with him is that he stays right here no matter what's going on. And he just did his thing. And Cal played into it. The pressure stopped. And so he went about doing that thing that he's been doing for the whole season.
What'd you see in person, Rod? You were there. You were out there. What'd you make of whatever Cal was doing in the first half and to what Casey and Chad alluded to, how that changed?
First of all, I want to say this. When you ask about Cal, I will go on record saying that will be the best secondary that we'll see all year. And if not one, I will have to see somebody. It won't be
Rod,
to the playoffs.
We agree, Rod. We agree.
On something. I mean, we both ate the clam chowder there, and that's what happened. We started to see things alike.
No, I didn't. I don't like clam chowder. We're going to get that review later. We're going to get the food review later from Rod Mack. But in person, I thought, and look, that's the vantage point of being there. Mm-hmm. I think not only what they did, but how they did it. Because in the first half, you could tell they were playing with an edge. They were trying to get into us, irritate us, and it was working. But they played with a physicality up front and on the back end that I thought had us.
Yeah.
I was surprised at the amount they were willing to blitz and leave their guys one-on-one, and
Yeah.
it was kind of working for them. So
Yeah, because again, I think that is, and they knew it coming in. Those guys in their secondary, they know who they are. You saw the confidence being there, and the coaches believed in them. And I believe that's the best secondary that we will face. So it allowed them to do some things like pack the line of scrimmage, send guys. Some of the blitzes they were doing that gave us some trouble that it got home, just because of how comfortable they was in the secondary guarding us, and they did a good job at it, man. Hats off to them, and they played with that edge you talked about, and it worked early on in the game. We got some penalties that stalled drives just from them trying to get us off our mark. Yeah. So you saw that early.
I thought the game got clearer for Cam. Like, I think to Chad's point, like they played a little more 3-4 man rush, and they would drop 7 or drop 8. But he sees that really well, and I think also some of the play calls by Shannon Dawson set it up for where he could make his choices, and he just started ripping it. I mean, he started ripping it, and he made some beautiful throws in the second half, and that thing started going. You're right, Chad. I don't think Cal really knew what to do once it got going.
no, they didn't want to give up a big play at that point and make it easy and get a cheap score with not a lot of time taken off the clock. So they decided to stick with their zone, and apparently they're better at playing man. So lesson learned for them.
Yeah.
Too late.
He burned him though. That one of those times in the second when the scramble for the touchdown.
Yeah,
it's funny.
The key point being scramble. You know what I mean? You're blitzing. Guys are man to man.
He just reads it beautifully. Like, you can play him zone, I'll pick you apart. Play me man, I'm running for a touchdown, and there was no one there to stop him. So it was unreal. KC, the run game, that game did get away. The scores turned Miami away from that somewhat, but they came out and they were the physical team running the football.
no, absolutely they were, and they changed up the scheme. I mean, everyone kept media and fans all over social media kept talking about why we keep running up the gut. Why do you keep running up the gut? I see why. We have big offensive line. We can get some push and surge, but one thing I said starting at the Florida game, let's get these guys out on the edge. Let's get some pulling guards, some pulling tackles, and let's get going. And that's exactly what we did this game. And we started hitting 6, 7, 8 yarders. I mean, Fletch had the 22-yarder. I mean, like, that was huge in the beginning of the game. And I honestly thought after he scored that first touchdown, our defense goes out there, gets another stop. We're just going to pound it down their throats again, and then get up 14-0 and just let this be a runaway game with the run game and let Cam do his thing off of play action. But it didn't turn out that way. And Cam's ability to, again, 2 weeks in a row where he's registered the defense and noticed, hey, if I can't beat you with the arm, I'm just going to beat you with my legs. And he figured it out, got it done. I mean, what else can we ask of him?
To my two defensive coaches, when they did pull their guards much more, right? They got McCoy out and Cooper out. That the problem that poses, or how you have to fit that, Rod, and why that worked.
Defensively, it just poses problems because gap responsibilities change. It adds a lot more responsibility to the linebackers, and they just not just run into a gap. They have to fit. They have to be able to read that. It changes the angles, the blocking angles for the offensive linemen. It's just a different running game, and it allowed our big backs more than anything to get downhill. And me watching and being at the game again, you can tell that some conversation was had with our running backs that lit some, because they ran differently. They ran with a lot more fire and passion that game. Mark was that first drive, the way even him and Martinez, the way they ran early in that game, we had to get away from them. They came with it was a conversation had about, we're going to establish ourselves running this ball, and you can see it just with their attitude.
I think Mark Fletcher, I'd like to see. We saw more, and I'd like to keep seeing more of him. I think he looks different this year off the injury, which is impressive off that injury. He's got a burst. He's got quickness. He's got agility, start, stop, physicality. I love everything I've seen, Chad, from Mark Fletcher so far this year.
Yeah, I love it.
Knock on Damien Martinez. I'm just saying I like the way Mark Fletcher has run, and I'm glad he got more carries.
Yeah, saying Mark was good and he looks good doesn't take anything away from what Damien looks like and what he did in this game. But Mark, 11 carries, 81 yards. That's a good day, and like Casey said, if we'd been able to keep the game, close within reach, we probably could have seen a whole lot more. Like I said, the Cal was stacking up the line of scrimmage, and us getting guards and tackles pulled without penetration, which was what Cal was not able to do, to get into the backfield and get to our running backs, causes a problem, because once you get around that corner to the other side of the formation, because you've piled up the line of scrimmage, you don't have any linebackers really to pursue. So if that first guy pulling around gets a hat on a guy, then we're kind of out the gate. Now the secondary has to get involved. And when you're talking about big backs like ours, that's 7-10 yards and then, more yards after contact. So that's a lot of what I saw. A lot of teams will try to just slam right ahead into that look. And I appreciate that we, decided to get out and get some guys, to pull some guys and get out and get around and seal off some edges and work the running game. It would have been nice to see more of it. It just didn't end up being that kind of game.
I'll tell you what, this is kind of a sidebar thing. So much is made of Elijah Arroyo in terms of his catching ability, but dude, he can do it all. He knocked some dudes on their ass in that game. I mean, I know they were motioning him and Riley. They were using that tight end and running him across and trying to slide him into the run game. But there's some times where I know the flash is in the catches and the runs, but he will knock you on your freaking ass.
I mean, the one play that, yeah, he's definitely a pro. The one run play that we had where he got called for the illegal formation, he lit that defensive end up. Like, he was coming for blood on that one. And he, on all those Y crosses or whatever they want to call them these days, I mean, that's what he was doing. He was just trying to go out there and punish them. And I saw him on some outside zones as well with Francis, picking up some safeties coming down and securing the edge and making sure our running backs have room. I love the split that we had between Damien and Fletch. I really do. I mean, you talk about, Mark with 11 carries. I mean, Damien had 12. Mm-hmm. It's a good split. And Damien was in for more of the, ground and pound yards, and Fletch was in for more of the outside zones. And it was a perfect mix. And that's a two-headed monster right there. And then I can't wait for us to throw in a Lyle for, a stretch play or two. And then when you throw in, CJ in there as well.
I think we're getting a little. I think Hurricane Milton might have been a couple feeder bands coming through Casey's house as we speak.
Can we mention that also to give kudos to the offensive coordinator, because he did go under center, because we all felt like Martinez may look better at sometimes getting the ball from the quarterback under the center, letting him go downhill, and they did that. And I love to see them just adjusting, like you said, our running game. They got outside, but they also went under center to give him some opportunities. And I agree. I like the switch or the balance between the two backs, and getting Martinez as well as Mark ran. Martinez down around the goal line on short yardage is really, really, really good. And he can be patient, and he's strong, he's physical, and just the way he can run the ball down there is impressive.
I know there had been. It's fine. So we were out there for 3 days or what it is, and there had been conversation. What's up with the run game? What's up with the run game? And maybe there wasn't the big explosive runs. I know Lyle had one and AJ Allen had one, but I went back and looked at the stats. Miami was 14th in the country at almost 6 yards a carry going in. So they were kind of grinding it out. They got some probably more bigger chunk runs in this game. But Rod, to your point, man, you get down to that goal line, you get down to like crunch time, and they'll pack it in. I mean, Damien Martinez and Mark Fletcher will run you over. Like if it's a one-on-one, they're grinding and moving their legs, and they are getting yards after contact. And sometimes people, what's wrong? What's up with our red zone offense? Well, shit, you got a guy like that. You get more productive in the red zone.
Yep.
Yes, certainly. And I would say this was probably our most impressive game running the ball, even though we didn't get to do it for an entire game. Some of our rushing yards have been, piped up a couple of games because of long runs, which does help our yards per carry average. But the way this was uncorking, as Casey said, the balance between the two running backs, the kind of front and defense that we were running against that seemed out to stop us, and we still, cranked out a good amount of yards on there. That's a good thing. And to Rod's point, going under center, this now gives another look on film, something else that defenses have to prepare for. And sometimes as a defensive coordinator, you may not be paying attention so much as to who's in the game at running back saying, oh, I need to make different calls because they're going to run some different kind of run plays with this guy. It's another big back. So you're trying to stay with your same calls, but now you've got a big back in there who will go outside versus Martinez who will, hammer hard inside. Now that's just another thing you've got to have going through your head as you're calling defenses.
And then I guess side saddle with Cam Ward. I don't know who. I think this would have been KC. So I'll let him take the lead on this. Yeah, Restrepo and Van Dyke were good friends. It doesn't matter. He's Cam's guy too. He's Cam's guy too because he's just that good.
He's probably the purest route runner I've seen in Miami in a very long time. And then another thing that I recently learned about him is how knowledgeable about football he is. He's able to read coverages just as well as the quarterback can, which is so beneficial to you as a wide receiver because sometimes you have option routes and it's based on the type of coverage that's given to you. And he's able to determine that during the play. Sometimes, and Chad tell you, you guys will line up in a cover 2 look, and then last second or at the snap, you'll roll into a man or a cover 3 or any other type of coverage. And he's able to diagnose it as it's happening. I mean, that 77-yarder to start off the final drive of the game, he broke that route off early. He was supposed to go on a much skinnier pattern, but he read the coverage, broke it off early, and he's wide open in the middle of the field. No one's there because he's just smart, pure route runner. And, I was hoping that he got caught because I wanted us to not leave that much time on the clock. But at the same time, I would have loved if he had scored that touchdown and been the hero for us. But, what a game, what a season. I mean, he's just having an unbelievable season. He comes up in every clutch moment that we need him in.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is that he comes up in those huge moments. He makes the catch. He made a catch sitting down last week, just chilling, caught a ball. In these big moments,
he was chilling. We were praying.
Yeah, right. We're all,
chilling,
wringing our hands, and he's sitting down catching, key passes and keeping the chains moving. So his ability to do that, I think, is one of the more impressive things. And it really has helped us, especially the last 2 weeks, to have guys come up like that. But I will say that entire receiving core came up big on Saturday, especially in that fourth quarter. Horton made some great catches. Jacoby George, he'll drive you crazy a little bit. I saw some looks that KB gave him on the sidelines. He'll drive you nuts. And, look, for that matter, Isaiah got into some of it too, throwing a kick and moving his back.
I didn't see that. I was standing right there. I missed it. Is that what he did?
He threw a leg there. Yeah. But look, if you've been in games, guys say stuff, do stuff that, can be subtle, that might get a reaction out of you. Nevertheless, he's like, okay, that's cool. 3rd and 20. We'll fix this whole thing. So we got ourselves out of that. There were so many key things that happened in that game. Restrepo's 77-yarder, us somehow coming back from that face mask penalty in one of those last defensive drives that I thought sunk us. It put Michael Irvin on his knees, as we saw on the television broadcast.
He was getting into hot yoga. I asked him. He was California getting into hot yoga.
Only Mike knows what's going on there, but it was fun to have his antics on the sideline. Horton, a lovely catch on a slant that was highly contested on 4th down.
Yes.
There were some big things that came out of more than just Cam Ward. A lot of guys contributed in key moments there and to get us that final score. So it was good to see a collective effort there to get us that win.
Talk about them in general. Like, they corrected themselves just like Cam did.
Yeah, because they had some drops. They had some drops.
They had some. I mean, Horton had that play in the end zone in the first half to tie the game. I mean, and dropped it. I mean, they had some drops. And if I know KB, which I do, he was a coach on the coaching staff when I was there. He definitely got him right at halftime, and they came out looking like a different unit.
So let me ask you this, because I was that's the point, or the little story nugget I wanted to tell from the game. And I said this on the broadcast, so it's not sort of privileged information, which is, so that catch, the play in the first half to Horton, that deep throw, right? And tough catch, should have caught it, dropped it, whatever. He dropped. I mean, it was a drop. We can debate, tough catch, not a tough catch. But did you guys see the piece on Game Day on Cam Ward?
I did not.
Okay,
I
so
did.
Andre Adelson from ESPN did a great story on him. And Restrepo said something like, and I've heard this from the coaches, but he said essentially when Cam got here, right, he just demanded us to kind of step in line, and we followed. So Horton drops the ball, come over to the sideline, and he's demanding it, in the summer or the spring, whatever, and then he demands it in the game because he's like, listen, dude, you got to make that catch. And so what I wanted to ask you guys is, when you have someone like that, it's one thing to just kind of like talk about it in the film room, but in the moment to not be scared to confront somebody and ask them and expect it of them what that's like. And Rod, I'll kick it back to you as someone who coaches some younger kids, but I'm sure someone there is making demands at that age.
Absolutely. Anytime you have a great team at any level, it's going to have to be ran by the players holding themselves accountable. So if you have a special team, it's going to have players holding themselves accountable, no matter at whatever level. So when it's your best player, when it's your quarterback, when it's the guy who goes out and show you, he demonstrates it, then he demands it from you. You can only give it to him. There is no other option, because he isn't a guy who's just giving it lip service. He's actually producing. He's actually stepping up, working hard. From everything I see in all of the interviews, he's the first one out there, the last one to leave, and then he's making plays on the football field. So when your leader is leading by example, you have to follow, and that is the making of a great team, and that's why we are successful, because our best players are demanding it from everyone else, and they have to follow.
Chad, you've seen it either when playing or coaching, right? Like, someone's got to keep everyone in line.
I think
and also set the standard of, like, I won't accept anything less than this.
Well, we want, of course. The roots of our program, when it's been in its heyday, has always been that the players, police each other. And that was one of the big things that I noticed coming from another program over to this one, that the players run the team. The coaches are there. They make calls on Saturday. Hopefully they're good ones, but we police each other, and we don't accept it in the off season. We're on you if you're slacking in your conditioning, if you're missing workouts, and it just carries over onto Saturdays in the fall, where, you're not worried about what the coach has to say. You're worried about letting down your teammates. That's something I definitely brought to coaching. And it started in Little League. There was a kid taking too long to run his laps. I don't want to be the one going up to a 6-7-year-old kid, getting all on them. I'll say to the guys that are the leaders, the quarterbacks, the people that are in the front, like, hey, you guys are going to just let that guy right there just run however, because he's going to play on Saturday morning. And if you want to see him like that, I mean, it's you guys are putting a uniform on. So it's always been about that. And it's something that I took from my playing career over to my coaching career. And it looks like that's what we have here. And it's obviously great when the person that's holding you accountable is also performing. Because I know in my day, and most likely in both Casey and Rod's day, we're not really listening to you if you're not producing either. So don't be loud talking crazy about what we need to do, and you're out there not getting the job done. So
I'm gonna segue into this, Casey, and we'll go back around. I think I dropped this into the chat because I was thinking about it flying home, which is, I know it's only been 6 games for us to see Mr. Ward like firsthand, but what he's done the last 2 games, the way he's closed and finished games, I see a lot of look, I live in a very small world because of the travel and whatnot, but I'm hard pressed to think of a guy who's done what he's done. I'm sure it's happened, so I don't want to be like that, but like the way I think of it like Michael Jordan in this regard, or meaning from the standpoint, there's a clip of him I've seen where he's like, look, you take a shot, there's only 2 things that can happen. It goes in or it doesn't. Like, don't get all worked up about it. Like, just come back and take the next one, or, Dwayne Wade fall down 7. Get the fact that he will not be bothered. And in my opinion, I don't care what went wrong. Who else would I want to have the ball at the end of the game than him? And what he's done the last 2 games, I'm just trying to think of guys, and I need help because I don't have one.
I don't have one either. And to be honest with you, his ability to believe in himself, and he talked about that on the game day skit. He said, I believe I am the best player in the country. And when you walk into a game with that belief and you truly believe it, like that's power. That's power.
He's got belief and confidence that I know I don't have. I don't know about you guys. It is off the frickin' charts.
I mean, it's something that all elite athletes have to do. They have to, whether it's convincing yourself or just flat out straight believing in yourself that you are the best of the best and no one can touch you. And it's not a cockiness thing. It's I've put in the work. No one's done more work than I have. I know what it takes, and I can go out there and perform every single Saturday because I'm the best player in the country. Nothing will faze me. That's the type of mentality that he's getting rubbed off on the team. And like, just to go back to the last question about him being able to hold people accountable, you also have to have people who are not sensitive. You can't be sensitive to leadership. You can't let the guy who's coming up to you go, hey, you got to have that catch. Your reaction can't be, well, screw you, man. Give me a better ball. Like, no, it's got to be, no, you're right. I got to make that catch. I'll go next time. Next time you put the ball in the air, it's coming down with me. You know, that's a lot of things that I think we had to work through in my time there was we were trying to hold guys accountable. We had too many guys who were sensitive. They didn't want to be held accountable. And then 17 was a reflection of all that hard work and finally getting the right guys in place who were not sensitive. Now, we fell short. I don't think this team's going to fall short because I think they got the right pieces in all the right places right now.
Chad, do you got anybody you want to serve up for me? Can you answer my question? No one's on social media. They didn't answer my question. No one actually responded, but I'm just trying to think of a guy like him who's done what he's done and closed the way he's done. I'm not talking about put up spectacular performances. We've had Heisman Trophy winners. I'm talking about what he's done the last 2 weeks, the way he's finishing games like an NBA guy finishes a game who you want to have the last shot, Tiger Woods on, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, he's closing.
Yeah, I was early on in my coaching career. I was coaching on that other side of the ball, and I was a really big Vince Young fan. And he willed me into it because I didn't pay much attention to Vince Young, to be honest, until that first Rose Bowl against Michigan. And I'm just watching him calmly and coolly just cut through Michigan's defense, and they looked like they couldn't do anything about it. He just looked like he was playing with his cousins in the backyard. Then he came back the next year. The next year, obviously, I followed him very closely, watched them get to that last game against a team they were calling the Dynasty. And on that night, unstoppable, whether it was running, throwing, whatever, and just doing it with quite the calm to him. Maybe it's a Texas thing. I don't know. But, that's the same kind of look that I see. Different stature, of course, Cam versus Vince, but the same kind of demeanor, the same kind of confidence. I don't think you level up in college football from Incarnate Word to the University of Miami without a certain amount of overwhelming confidence in yourself. So there's no doubt there. Even when you're down 25 late in the game, away from home on the West Coast with people blowing trees, as you guys said, he was unfazed, and it worked out in our favor.
Literally, unlike Rod, who was running to the concession stand, Cam Ward was unfazed. Rod, you got anybody?
I think Chad said who I would think. I think I have never saw that type of performance back-to-back weeks like that. I mean, I can tell you off the top of my head, the guys that I saw do it were probably in a different fashion. I watched Johnny Manziel do it. Just will his team to win at certain times against Alabama. It comes to mind watching him do that, or obviously Vince Young, watching him do it, and also Deshaun Watson. I watched them do that type of thing, but I have never seen anybody do it just week in and week out like that. So not just compile those type of nights on top of each other from week after week. I can't recall seeing that.
I'm glad we have him, man.
Yeah, he's on our team.
Yep. I mean, I knew he came in with fanfare. I watched some of his stuff over the summer, but I still am just like, I didn't know. I wish I knew. I didn't know. I thought I knew. I didn't know it'd be this good. It is. It has been unfreaking believable. What about, we should, Chad brought this up. We should give probably a little bit of conversation, a little segment to Fernando Mendoza, because there was attention on him too, right? Wanted to be at Miami, not offered, going out to Cal. I know his family. I don't say no. Well, I know them. His brother who's at Indiana actually coached my younger son in flag football at the Kendall Boys and Girls Club. And Fernando came down 2 years ago when he was on break and helped. And he was a great, like, full of energy, full of life, just awesome personality. Because there's a third brother that's my son's age, and he's had to fight through some transfers that have come through there too. He's earned his keep, and I will say this: it was odd. He played well. I'm not knocking the kid at all, but when I went on the plane, I looked at the stat sheet. Guess how many plays they ran?
Cal as a team?
Cal, yeah. What do you think they ran?
How many?
57.
49.
They got a lot out of those plays. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And Mendoza completed 11. 11 passes. Now we know what happened, right? Yeah.
Wow. I'm shocked by that.
Right. Wow. I got on the plane and I said the same thing, because you're looking at the game, right? We're down 35-10. It's a butt whooping, but it was a blowout. But it was like a handful of plays shifted that game. It was.
Yeah, you had the big play to the tight end.
Right.
Fourth down run.
You had to run from, and you know what? We do have to give Cal some credit for some of their talent that they had. I mean, the running back is speedy as all hell. Both of those guys. We saw that guy.
Nice, man. 25. I know a lot of Ott was the big name, but 25 was nice.
Yeah, both of them track speed. I mean, we saw Ott striding it out down the sidelines on his long touchdown, but they had some really big plays there. So, I mean, maybe we shouldn't be shocked. He had a big scramble late in the game that kept things going for them. But hey, listen, between ESPN really pushing this narrative on us, they're showing the family just over and over and over, and then showing Mario, then showing the dad. It's like, do y'all want them to like put on gloves and meet in the middle of the field afterwards or whatever? But it did make for an interesting side story, and it helped that the kid played that well. He did seem inspired. I watched him play against Florida State, and he played well, but there just seemed to be a little more something from him in this game. Maybe for his dad, maybe for Miami, whatever the case may be. You could see it.
All right, we're gonna get two things. We'll start here. Rod, targeting or not targeting?
I'm never gonna. No, it wasn't targeting, man.
You can skip me on that one.
Football playing.
For what reason, Chadrick?
I didn't really. To be honest, and look, all the Cal fans and the anti-Miami fans are gonna feel this way. I really felt like he led with the shoulder. Listen, your shoulder's here, your head is here. If you lead with that shoulder, a lot of times your head will make contact. There's a difference between this and this. We would do that in our day, just full on bullet, hands to the side, helmet first. We're going to knock your head back.
I think you sent us a little something in the chat before the game. It was some Kennard Lang clip you gave where he literally
Kennard would be in prison. He'd be now getting out. If he played, would it
be 15 yards? Would it be 15 years? What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, easily. He'd be dressed in orange for at least 10 years. But we're not in that day anymore, so I've adapted. But on that case, man, it wasn't a clear case of it. To make that call at that point in the game would have been really, really tough to do. Even if we were flip-flopped the other way. Let's say it was our quarterback running and someone hit him like that. I'm not going to lose my mind if they decided to not call it that. Kid led with his shoulder. Helmet might have made contact with his helmet. I mean, it's from here to there. It's going to happen. So it's incidental. It didn't seem like he
Casey, wait 1 second. I think Rod needs to get something off his chest.
I just feel like at that point, when he was running the ball, let's not even call him a quarterback. He's a ball carrier. Right. And at some point, the defender has to protect himself as well, because he was trying to run him over. It wasn't like he was just saying, "Oh, don't hit me." So we have to be able to protect ourselves, because he's coming. He wasn't trying to slide. You know what I mean? So what was he supposed to do?
He falls under what the rule is. He's no longer a defensive player. He's a runner. Like you said, if he went to attempt to slide or even give himself up, that would be the only case where you can at least have an argument. I mean, I got a bone to pick with targeting in general. I think targeting is just it's stupid. It's dumb.
Yeah,
I
the
think
way they're
fact,
policing it. Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
I think the NFL does a much better way of handling it. But to stop a game to review something that was not called is border. Like, if you're going to do that, let's review every penalty that's called.
Yeah, that's
Not
wild.
just this one. Like, that's why when they were like, we're going to review for target, I was like, where's the flag? They didn't throw the flag. If you
Right.
didn't throw the flag, you didn't see it. It wasn't clear and obvious targeting when the play happened. There's no point in us slowing this game down and reviewing it. I understand your
that's a good
player
point.
safety.
That's a great
Player
point,
safety.
man.
That's a
Yeah.
good point, Casey.
But
It's,
how about-
it's like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Oh, like we're going to just whistle in something late? Like,
Yeah.
give me a break. I do remember a play a couple of weeks ago. UCF's quarterback's running into the end zone, and the DB comes up there, and it's almost like, oh, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. And he trucked the poor guy into the sidelines. And at a Colorado game, there's 500 cameras there. So this poor guy got blown away into the sidelines, and it's viral everywhere. As with a quarterback, running back, whatever is running like that, Rod's right. We got a right to protect ourselves, and protect ourselves means meet that force with as much equal force as we can supply. And sometimes, your helmet might hit the other guy's helmet. We got him on for a reason. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
my answer is no.
advances. Yeah, there's no way that was targeting. And again, just go back to the fact that they need to fix it. It needs to get fixed. You can't kick the kid out for the game and suspend him for a half either. Like, that's just not. It's not fair to the kid. It's definitely not fair to the fans. I mean,
good luck. We got a whole lot of other things on the docket, right? Like a transfer portal and runaway NIL before they get to that.
By the way, before we get back to to some of the defensive stuff, the last play, the game-winning touchdown, the little RPO hold, and I thought of all the plays you talked about from Cam Ward, he made that play with literally a dude barreling down on him. Cal played that beautifully, shot the corner, but I mean, he's got a dude draped on him when he releases the ball. And I thought
they were on that play all night, though.
Yeah,
Yep.
with the
Yeah, the whole RPO tight end arrow deal, they were on that all night. I'm surprised that was the call, given how it had not worked. So, kudos to Shannon Dawson having big cojones to call
that's why
that.
we're doing this. We're still grinding for our money here, Chad.
Yeah. I mean,
All right, Rod and Chad, we need our defensive insight. So 3 or 4 X plays. Which one unnerved you the most? Let me ask you this. You look at that and you say, all right, we have a problem or we have something that can be corrected. Obviously, it's a problem. You don't want it to happen. But you look at that and you say what?
which play in particular are we talking about?
Absolutely. Which one are we talking about?
All right, so let's go with the tunnel and go.
Okay.
Take it, Rod.
You want me to take it? I think that is not that's a discipline problem on that play. That's just not. That's bad. And Chad's that's bad eyes. Like it seems they were in cover 3, and he just blew it because you watched the before the play, the safety, they communicated with him, hey, this is what we're doing, and even when he released, he was telling him, yo, that's your guy. So it was just, I think that's a discipline problem that has to be fixed. So it is, and you can't keep doing. You won't keep. That's simple because you're not going to keep doing that and stay on the football field. I can promise you that.
That's the ultimate corrector, right?
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I've tight ends and slots, and I first started noticing it against USF.
Yes,
but tight ends and slots seem to be a little bit of a kryptonite for us defensively. We haven't done a good job the last 3 weeks getting on those guys, covering them, keeping them from making chain moving receptions. Big plays. We saw big plays out of that position group against us this week. So I think the bye week comes at a really good time. Great West Coast win, game day. People were losing their voice, including poor Reese Davis, who got called in to do the game. But we have stuff that we need to fix. And I feel like we better get on those things because at some point it's going to bite us. And I think I mentioned this last week that even in wins, even in blowouts, even in, highly euphoric wins, you still got to have a little bit of a son of a bitch in you. You know what I mean? There's a viral clip out there of Will Muschamp and Nick Saban when they're at LSU going crazy on a kid from the sidelines. Maybe you've seen it, but legend has it that they were up 21 points in that game when they were doing that. And that is, Nick Saban pointed this out on game day. It's like, you can't be a transactional coach. It can't be just about the wins and losses. There is a process there. And if you are not following the standard that's been set up, it doesn't matter if we won or lost. That's today. If we allow you to just continue to do these things, eventually the invoice is going to come due. And how much do you want to have to pay? So we're going to have to get those things correct, or we're going to have to start nailing down slots and tight ends and getting better coverage on them. Yeah. We're going to have to tackle better. We're going to have to stop blowing coverages in that back end, because at some point the invoice is going to come due. And I'd like for it to be $7, not $7,000, so we don't have a catastrophe. At least in a game, at least in this year's college football, you can lose a game and still make that playoff. But why do that when you don't have to? We're too good for that to happen.
Yeah. And from when I was in school, Coach Davis would always say every Sunday, it only catches up with you when it catches up with you. And those things are going to catch up with us if we don't get it fixed, because just being at the game, you could see that touchdown that they threw the post on the safety. That was they schemed that up. They knew that from the very beginning when they motioned him over and we were seesawing our safety in our slot. When they motioned that guy, Porter went back. We got 0 on the slot right now, which the matchup that they wanted. So they created it. They manufactured that matchup, and they hit us with it. And so that's just something that we have to get fixed. I don't know what we can do differently. Chad probably speaking more to that. I know what we can do. We just have to travel with that motion guy and not put our safeties in that position. But that was a great call by Cal, and I'm just noticing that we're going to have to work on a few things, because I'm watching it build, and I think it started for me at USF, and then I saw VTech do a lot of it. Now more people are trying to get us in space. They're trying to get us and make us tackle and perform in space. So we're going to have to show that we can do that, because if you don't, as we all know here, that you're going to see it until you show you can stop it. And so we're going to see a lot more of that, and hopefully this bye week we can get some of those things corrected, because that is right now the thing that causes us a little concern. It's just tackling, because that's more than anything, me being a linebacker, what frustrated me most is just watching us miss some tackles. And we can't, like, routine plays, not even the guy, doing much. We got to be able to make those tackles. We got to be able to make the routine tackles. And obviously in that back end, us covering, man, we can't blow coverages. So.
Casey, you wanna give us an offensive perspective, or those guys do a good enough job there for us?
I mean, they did a great job. Offensively, we gotta get healthy. We got to get Jalen Rivers back. I mean, Bell, we've been talking about him every week ever since he started. He's been playing really well, but it would be nice to get 64 back out there. I don't know where Rodriguez is in his recovery, but it would just be nice for us to have that same 5 that got out there versus Florida and see what they can do versus some ACC opponents. I think offensively, our biggest issues is composure, not letting guys get to us when they're talking, being able to walk back to the huddle and go out there and kick their ass with your pads on, and not necessarily with your words. Run game, keep emphasis on the run game, keep emphasis on getting things done in different ways. There's still a play call that was called versus Florida that I'm waiting to see versus some ACC teams. And
you gonna share that with us, or just let us?
No. They might be watching.
No.
Thank you, Rod.
Keep that one in the...
Now Rod chimes in instead of a player. Rod chimes in as a coach.
That was full headset Rod right there.
Yeah. Keep it in the bag of tricks. This offense is so dynamic and so explosive that they can keep doing what they're doing, but let's be more consistent. Let's start faster. Let's maybe do some start fast drills. We used to do that with Mark. He noticed that we would start games slow, so as soon as stretch was done from for practice, he would put the ball down and go, all right, best on best. Here we go. 11 on 11. So maybe we should squeeze that in, for 5 plays or whatever, just to get the emphasis of, hey, as soon as we're done stretching during the game, what are we doing? We're playing the game. We got to get going fast. Just listen, there's so much that we can do. I hope that they do a really good job as a coaching staff doing self-scout, finding out the weaknesses, both offense and defense, and hopefully go up to Louisville, start fast, and not fall victim to what the past, I think, 6 or 7 teams have done, which is come out flat after a bye week.
After a bye week.
Yeah,
That's going to be an atmosphere in Louisville, and I feel pretty strongly they're going to throw that game at night. I think
it's at 12 o'clock. It's a noon
game.
Yeah, it's a noon game.
Yeah, I'll take that better. I don't want a night game out there in Louisville.
Be home by 7 o'clock. We take the podcast that night if you want. Hey, speaking of injuries, it was nice having number 4 out there on the defensive line. It looked like he had a lot of bottled up energy, and he took it out on some dudes on that Cal offensive line. Or I think he wiped the crap out of a tight end. They were trying a little. Did you see that, Rod?
Yeah.
He wiped the crap out. They tried a little tight end screen, and he sniffed it out and put that dude on his ass.
Yeah, he looked like he had fresh legs on that play. He ran out all the way out there and get the play. He looked good.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
Simeon Barrow keeps getting better and better every week.
I like when they line him up outside.
Yeah, I mean, it creates confusion for the offensive line. I mean, as a tackle, you see a D tackle out there, and you're like, oh, this is going to be easy. And all of a sudden they throw a 3-way stunt on you. You're like, oh, I just give up a sack. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Now, is Rod shaking his head at my analysis, or is Rod agreeing?
No. I agree with everything you're saying. I think we got the first positionless defensive line we put out. All those guys can play inside, outside. It's fun to watch. Like, they just line up wherever. They go to tackle, I go to end. They could just line up where they want. So it allows them to do some crazy things as far as line movement go, because they're comfortable with those guys just being wherever they line up at.
Yep. All right, fellas, it was fun. We didn't get a bye week. We still had to work. Appreciate you guys. 6-0. We'll see what we come out fixed with. Louisville. Anybody catch the Louisville SMU game?
I did.
I caught the tail.
I saw some of it. I saw the end.
Yeah. It was a little weird watching ball at 9 a.m., wasn't it, Rod?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really was.
I'm going, man. We got a 12 noon, then 3:30 still, and then we get to play at 7:30. That's a long day.
Yeah, SMU's not a bad team, man. They're sneaky good.
Yeah.
No, and the quarterback's good.
Russell, that's right. Rhett went over there and what's he have? 3-4 ex-players over there from
double it.
Double it.
But you know that tight end, that's Russell Maryland's kid.
Is it?
The tight end, 82, is Russell Maryland's kid.
Wow.
He can ball.
He's got some guys.
He's pretty good. Yeah.
All right, Rod's going to sleep. We'll talk to y'all later.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, y'all. Take it easy.
Take it easy. Yep.